I would start my speech in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Panel, we live in a world where college tuition fees are at an all time high. With the synthesization of cash cow programs that are specifically designed to wring out the most profits and are likely less beneficial for the students overall, why worsen the problem? So, few points on setup then. Cash cow programs, what are they? They are degree, bachelor, and master or doctorate programs or non degree programs, summer school, that is established to generate revenue to the institution. Remember this revenue. They are designed to generate revenue, and that means they will be most likely more expensive. And the universities could afford to do this because they have actual academic credibility, which means people trust them more. For our counterfactual, then, we want a world where college tuition is more affordable with the omission of these programs because these programs are omitted. And we would want more useful programs promoted and they are made more affordable to take their place. And the reason why this is actually, why this is actually possible is because A, the state could fund it, and B, people are reasonable. They are rational creatures, and so they would likely want more programs that are actually catered and towards them and benefit them more than programs that are specifically designed to wring out their cash, right? If they knew about it. And so more people would buy it, and therefore more universities would be pushed to promote these programs because, well, more people buy it, right? And so the burdens. Number one, our side is better. Number two, the harms of cash cow programs. So, for my first argument then, on inaccessibility towards the minorities and common folk. Within the status quo, these programs exist to fund the university, which is likely done mostly by the people because the state are probably unable to do it because A, they might have a lot of debt that they need to pay off, or B, they're focused on other things such as healthcare, building buildings in city centers, fixing the road and whatnot. Which is, and number two, to provide more value for the students, more options for them to go to, provide more experience, yada yada yada. Which is all well and good. This is what the other side of the house would argue is all well and good. But however, there are some inherent harms to this. So, these are the negatives. Number one, the average people can't afford it because it is made to be expensive. It is made to wring out the most profits. So who could afford it? The rich people, the well-off people, the people with the more resources able to afford it. And secondly, because the average people can't afford it, what makes thou think that the minorities, people who are in destitution, people who are discriminated by the color of their skin, by gender, by social class, be able to afford these programs? Okay, and this is actually really bad for these people not to be available towards these programs because that means that they would get less opportunities. And since they would get less opportunities, there would be less, there would be less equality, which would mean that the colleges would actually, thirdly, because there's already a gap between the poor and the rich, the universities would inadvertently or intentionally or unintentionally widen the gap by making the rich smarter and having more opportunities. Now, the universities could intentionally be doing this because, well, they want more profits. And if the rich kids, right, promoted by the rich people get smarter, right? If they get smarter, they could navigate the economy better, and so therefore they would be able to give back more towards the university because they would have kids of their own, right? And so it basically, number one, for the impacts, perpetuates the gap between the rich and the poor, leading to more discrimination because the rich would have more opportunities, and so they would look down on poor people, they would look down on minorities, on average people, and saying that they're below them, and the minorities would actually be more envious of these rich people, and so there would be more conflict caused by that as well. And number two, we would actually see this divide play out. We would actually see it. And number two, more people would get less educated overall, because the rich make up a very small group of people, because not everyone holds $1 million, more than $1 million in their bank accounts, right? Not everyone has that. And so there would be less people in the workforce because they have less experience or less qualification, right? And so therefore there would be less people that are actually productive, and there would be less products produced, leading to lower GDP and leading to lower like innovations, because people are like less smart, right? And so this leads to economic stagnation and would lead to a recession, because, well, you know, it would cause a trend of basically nothing happening, right? Which is bad. And secondly, utility over abundance. Within the status quo, some of these programs exist with perceived benefit because the universities could promote them as such. And therefore, more people would subscribe to it because A, the university recommends it, and the university are actually really, really influential because of their academic reliability and academic credibility, right? Think of things like MIT, Stanford, and even the smaller universities have academic credibility. And so, B, the parents would want to have a sense of preparedness for their children because they enroll, because they think these programs will grant their children to have more qualifications or skills for the workplace, right? Because they actually want their children to succeed and to live a good and happier life. However, this may cause people to overspend and would get confused with which programs would actually align with their goals. Because sometimes, okay, maybe most of the times, these universities would likely promote these programs because they're more expensive, because they bring out the most profit, right? But it's not like these programs would actually be useful. Some of them are actually not as useful as the actual fundamental utility based programs that are under promoted, because it doesn't get as much revenue as these cash cow programs, right? And so if the universities would rather, if they really want the money, they would promote programs that are more costly instead of useful ones, because of the reasons that I've stated before. Which would mean that, the students of these universities would be less likely to meet their goals, and therefore, it's basically bad for the parents involved as well, because it guarantees your children less likely for success. And so within our house, it avoids that, because our house would promote programs that caters towards people's goals, basically the opposite of this. And these programs, secondly, would be more accessible, which means that more people would actually have these programs that are more accessible towards their goals, and so they could navigate the workplace better. And number three, it would align with meritocracy, which is more useful, since credibility and reliability basically trumps over empty and meaningless accomplishments and qualifications. This is why we would like to propose. Thank you.